even if he has limited snaps, what kind of impact can he have on those around him?
Well, I think just the fact that he'd be on the field, people have to account for him, whether he gets the ball or he doesn't get the ball. You know, whether he's going vertical with his speed. I mean, you know, there's so many things that he brings to the table that'll help us and can help us if we're able to use him.
And then switching to the other side of the ball, Matt Ryan, you faced him quite a bit over the years, and I'm curious what you still see in him. And look at all the stats. What do you see?
Well, I see he still has command of the offense. I mean, I know it's a new offense for him, but he's a 14-year vet. He's had a lot of success in this league. You know, he's got some good playmakers around him, so he can still get the ball to guys that can make things happen. You know, you have to be able to disrupt him and keep him off point, because if not, he gets into a role. He can be a very hot player in terms of making things happen.
With St. Just, I guess just how close was he to playing, or was it just he's not?
Well, he's in the protocol, and as he goes through the process of the protocol, you know, as he goes through each step, if there's any slowdown in one of the particular steps, then we just got to wait till the next week. And, you know, we have no issue with that. I mean, at the end of the day, this is truly about player safety, and, you know, the player has responded well to the treatments, but he's not where he needs to be eligible to play on Sunday. So we'll be fine.
And obviously, with him out, Torrey McTyer is a guy would presumably play more. You've got Darryl Roberts, Troy Apke as well. How do you kind of view the corner depth with that?
Yep, we'll have both those guys ready to roll, and they'll play specific roles, and if they get opportunities, they'll know exactly what they're supposed to be doing.
And just as a quick question, with regards to Kyle Pitts, obviously he's an impressive rookie. What have you kind of seen from him, and what kind of a challenge does he present?
Well, the challenges he's going to pose, first of all, is you got to find out where he lines up. I mean, the guy is such an athlete and such a good football player that they can play him as a tight end, they can play him as a U tight end or a wing, or they can put him out in the slot, or they put him out as an X, as a receiver by himself. So you have to identify where he is, and from that point, you've got to treat him as he lines up and go from there.
Coach, following the loss last week, how do you think your team responded this week in practice, and what are your thoughts on their effort and their performance during practice this week?
Well, I thought it was a good practice week. I really did. I thought the guys stepped up and did some good things. You know, the last week I thought they had a good week. So sometimes it transfers to Sunday, sometimes it doesn't. But I thought the things that they did today and yesterday and Wednesday, you know, were working on their techniques, working on the things that they need to do, working on their discipline, and building trust in one another. The way they practice, I'm fine with it.
Ron, Chase said that he was sitting with you after practices going over film. I'm just genuinely curious, what are some ways outside of Chase that players have sort of shown that they understand the situation that you guys find yourselves in, just little things that you've noticed with players this week in particular? Well,
I appreciate the way that a lot of guys have stayed after and done some extra things. You know, like you guys don't unfortunately get to see it, but, you know, we had a number of guys on Wednesday and Thursday staying after. We had whole units working together on certain things, which was really cool. We've seen guys, you know, do those types of things in the past, and that's something that we've done before. And so as we start getting into this and we start getting more and more done, you know, I think, again, this is just a matter of development. I mean, to the question of, is this a young team? Yeah, it's a young group, but, you know, based on some of the things we did last year, I'd like to think that we could have been a little bit further ahead, but we're not. And so at the end of the day, we just got to keep working.
I know that this is a young team, and they were young last year when they were 2-7 and they had the turnaround. But just generally speaking, what are some of the things that you saw last year when the team was going through that lull through the 2-7 part of the season? And what are some things that you feel like they can use or maybe carry at this 1-2 start? I know it's still very early in the season. What are some things you saw there if they stay motivated?
Well, the things I saw was the way they worked with each other. Like I said, I thought this was a good week, and you could see it. You could see guys staying after, doing a couple extra things. You saw offensive linemen working together. You know, you see the receivers working with DBs. Quarterbacks throwing extra throws to certain guys. I mean, that's what you're looking for, because, you know, that just speaks to maturity. It speaks to, they understand that, you know, hey, we have some deficiencies we got to continue to work on. And so it's been good to watch, you know, what has happened the last couple of weeks, to be honest, not just this past week, but last week as well.
Wanted to ask about Antonio. I know he's questionable, but anything you can add?
He had limited. We assigned him so many reps today, and we just wanted to keep an eye on him. And he had a good day of work. He did. You know, yesterday he did all the walkthrough stuff and was paying attention. Today, everything that they'd gone through walkthrough, he got to transfer onto the practice field when he did get his reps. So we're pretty confident. But again, tomorrow will be a big indicator as to where he is.
He's been banged up here and there, kind of throughout his career. But what have you noticed about the way he goes about his recovery process, and what do you think he's kind of learned as he's learned that side of the game?
Well, you know, he's got a little bit of that, you know, kind of that smooth movement to him. And so as you watch him, you kind of say, I mean, you're not quite sure, but that's kind of his style. And the nice thing is you just watch him pay attention, watch him focusing on the reps that are out there that others are taking. He's paying attention and asking questions. And then when he gets in, you know, he handled it pretty good. I don't think he had an error today, so that was good.
Was that something he suffered in the game, or was that a practice thing?
That was something that happened in the game. My understanding is it's a shin something, so obviously he might have got kicked or something.
And you were saying you'd like to have been further ahead after last year. Where do you feel like big picture you guys are in terms of what you're building?
Well, you know, my reference point obviously is 2011, 2012, and that's where I compare things. And you know, as I look at it, some of the as I talked about before, the maturity level, you know, we're still working on certain things. We're still trying to understand just how important it is to stick to your base fundamentals and not get outside of a comfort zone. You know, you got to learn to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable. Those are things that guys get through experience, through repetition. And so we'll just continue to work it and see how it goes. I mean, this is a young group. It's a good group. We like this group. Just we've got, you know, work to do.
You guys didn't start how you wanted to start in 2012, if I remember correctly. Do you see similar themes between those two seasons?
Yeah, just young teams growing and learning. I mean, we had some veterans in certain positions. And, you know, one of the things that did happen in them was as our quarterback grew, we grew. You know, and so we'll see. We'll see how it goes with this group. I like this group, though. I really do.
Anything else?
I have a punter question.
A punter question.
Yes. Tress Way, what makes him so consistent in your mind? And the directional punting, how valuable is that to you guys as a...
I love Tress's approach to things. You know, he's, you know, specialists are special in their own way. He's a little different from any specialist I have been around in terms of that. His approach is, he's really relaxed, really confident, comfortable in who he is. He has a natural calmness to his approach to his punting game. The directional is tremendous, because if you get a dangerous guy and you can keep him pinned to one side, you take away the ability to cut back. And that's huge, because now you can really focus on, hey, we can trap him into this corner, we can squeeze the coverage, and you can get a lot of bodies around the ball. If all you have is a guy that can kick it down the middle, you know, the guy's going to catch the ball and he'll have what we used to call a field return. I mean, he can go anywhere. And so you have to, you know, really appreciate that. And it can't be one of those things where, well, sometimes I can kick it to the right corner, and then next thing you know, he's hooking one back to the left. I mean, that's as dangerous as it gets. One thing you don't want to see is you don't ever want to see a line drive, because you don't want that guy to catch the ball before your coverage has gotten downfield. And you for the most part, I don't think I've ever seen that from him yet. So that's what I think he is very conscientious. He's very consistent in his approach to his game.